Hi, and welcome to PKNB.
Thanks for joining us, guys. We got a very interesting topic. Is it okay to have lights and smoke in church? Are we trying to replace the true working of the Holy Spirit? And if you did have the working of the Holy Spirit, do you really need lights and smoke?
Wow.
Or are you just making up for it? Bethany, go ahead. Let us know.
You just loaded that question so much more than I anticipated. So, back to...
Go on, give us the answers, Bethany.
What did you say again? Something about the Holy Spirit?
Well,
Are we replacing the Holy Spirit with the lights?
No, you can't replace the Holy Spirit with the lights, Bethany. What? Okay, so I'm being antagonistic, obviously.
Complicating things.
Someone walks into church and goes, they got lights and smoke. It's all gimmicks. It's gimmicks, right?
Okay.
You don't need any of that if you had the presence of God.
the Holy Spirit. Right.
What are you doing? Why do you have lights and smoke?
Okay, sure. Oh, that's the question. Well, I feel
Is
that...
it okay?
I think it's okay. Sure. I think provided that it encourages people to worship and it supports them in that. I think if it's distracting them, like the whole reason of the worship experiences, or the reason we have lights, smoke, or worship, a band, is to lead people to, in their worship experience so they can connect with God.
Yeah.
If it's getting to the point where the singers are too, theatrical, or they're not wearing the right thing, or the drummer's having massive solos, or the guitarist, and that's putting the focus on them. Somersaults, all that.
Yeah.
If that's putting the focus on them and taking it off God. So if it gets to the point where it is distracting, and when we first introduced lights, we did have a little bit of, it was a bit too of a performance, and I think
we dialed it back.
We had to dial it back, and even the first
because
time
I thought it was going to be, I thought it was distracting a little bit.
When we introduced the smoke as well, there was a little bit too much smoke, and we had kids who couldn't go in, and people coughing, and it was like that sounds quite.
Wasn't that bad, man.
Yeah. So anyway, we've dialed that down as well. But as I said, if it takes it away from the worship experience and it disconnects people from God or distracts them, then that's not okay. Mm-hmm. But if you get that right balance, and this is different for every church, and maybe for your church you don't want smoke and lights at all, and you just need to judge.
Oh, we didn't have smoke and lights for
years.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it was only like the last couple of years when we actually had.
So judge who you have in your church, and the community that you have there, and consider whether it will help them in their worship experience or whether it will distract them from it.
Yeah. That's really good. So I'm going to give you a little bit of my perspective as well. Firstly, can lights be a good thing? Well, when we go back to cathedrals like 500 years old, right? They had colored windows which actually reflected colored light on stage.
Yeah.
So that's my evidence that it's okay. No, not really. So here's the thing. Like, I'm not a huge fan of having smoke in church, just because I don't know. As a pastor, I'm feeling that people will walk in and go, oh, it's one of, it's a youth church. I don't like more elderly people. We got a lot of elderly people. We do have a lot of elderly, and we've got quite the range. We've got quite a range, and for me, like, I don't know, because I didn't grow up in that sort of church. You just kind of, I feel that people may walk in and go, I don't belong here. It's too young or whatever for me. And that was one of my main concerns. But why I guess I'm okay with it, and I kind of, I guess, encourage it in some ways is because I believe that our services are meant to be a sacrifice of beauty for God, right?
Yeah.
A sacrifice of praise. So our music team is, I encourage them to practice and bring their best. They may not be professional, but they better bring their best because it's a hard attitude.
Yeah.
Now, we just happen to have, some really good musicians. And we happen to have some people that they really like production, okay? And their heart is like, they want to make it as beautiful as they can. Yeah. And so they spend time on lights because they want to, not because I'm asking them to, not because it's actually a value of our church, really. It's because
that's their sacrifice.
That's how they express themselves.
Yeah.
Right? It's they don't sing. they want to create something beautiful. And it's amazing. We've got people in our church that are, like I said, they think production wise, and they do dramas and things like that. So we do that around Christmas time and stuff. And you see them in their element, and they just come alive.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know, it's almost like it's an act of worship. And so I think when it's done with that heart, and the smoke, again, not a huge fan.
The smoke helps the lights look better, and we trust our team.
Yeah, and the guys, and they came and talked to me. Yeah, I told them my concerns, and they're like, we need a little bit so the lighting looks right. And they bought some movers. If you don't know what movers are, they like to move around, and they were just moving around, and it was distracting. And I'm like, no, we're not moving stuff around. We're just okay. So there was this compromise between me going, okay, I understand you've got a gifting and passion upon your heart to do that, but is that helping lead people into focused encounter with God?
Yeah.
And so when we're working together, and it's my job as a senior leader to bring that all together, all the people's giftings and everything to point in this one direction.
Yeah.
So I think the question is kind of, I think, a little bit loaded. I think the question is, can lights and smoke be okay? I think yes.
Yeah.
They also can be distracting. They can, kind of try and create an atmosphere that is somehow counterfeiting the real thing. I think we can sort of take production into a level where we are trying to do something or build anticipation that's actually not there because the real stuff's missing. But just because that's present, that doesn't necessarily mean the real stuff is missing. The working of the Holy Spirit, the preaching of the Word, the encounter of God during the encounters with God during worship. At the end of the day, I spoke to our music team 2 weeks ago, and I said, look, the main point of worship, if you're doing your job correctly, is that you disappear and people encounter God.
Yeah.
Like John the Baptist said, he must increase, I must decrease. So that's the heart. I had a real sense in my heart like a couple of weeks ago that when we had just worship was amazing. It was really good. That that this here is a sacrifice of worship, of honor, this time, this talent, all of it comes together, to be like a sacrifice to God, to honor Him on this Sunday morning. And I think it does that when we do it well.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, is that making sense?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's, as I said, it's different for every church. That works for our church. If it works for you to have, an organ and a couple of bagpipes, if that helps lead people to
bagpipes.
God, all churches are different. That can be quite reverent as well.
Yeah, I mean, and we were playing with the idea.
On the bagpipes.
Yeah, playing with the idea, like if we had an evening service that maybe we want to do in a full acoustic set.
Yeah.
With no lights and and just peel it all back, and that's cool as well. And so that's a few of our thoughts.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
I'd
love to hear your opinion as well. Actually,
that's true.
That would be really cool. Just to hear different people's opinions about this.
Yeah, true. As I keep the focus, connecting people to God. Have a look at your congregation and see if you are enjoying our content. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe and leave a comment to let us know you watched as well. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.